Okay, on to the next wheel here. Well, first of all, just got to remove this wheel trim here. Oh yeah, it just pops out quite easily. Today I'm going to change out the front wheel brake pads on a 2000 Dodge Caravan. Things that you're going to need are brake pads, a wheel nut wrench, a good screwdriver to get off your trim here from the wheel itself, a decent hydraulic jack, and last but not least, a jack stand. Also, I wear knee pads. These are great to save your knees, because you're going to be on your hands and knees doing this job, so protect your knees, because if you don't, you can have a problem later on. Now, upon closer inspection, I noticed here we've got a little nub thing there, and that's for the this vehicle's original jack would fit on that, but we're not going to use that, but we can still use this area. Once you get your jack in position underneath that nub, you just slowly give it one or two pushes. You're starting to see it lift up, then you stop, because we're just taking the weight off so that we can remove these nuts from the wheels, also known as wheel nuts apparently. Okay, let's see if any of these things fit. I'm sure one of them does. There you go. So just, and when I remove these, I remove them opposite. So that one to the opposite, that one, then to that one, that one, that one. It's the same as when you tighten them, that's just so you get even pressure on these each nut. I'm going to go back a little bit. Okay, so you just do that. Next one. Next one. Yep. Okay, then you just once you've got them loosened, you stop at that point, because if you just took them off, this would drop down a little bit. So once those are loosened slightly, not all the way off, just a couple of turns, you go back to your jack and start jacking it up. You jack it up until the bottom of the wheel here lifts off the ground. You can actually turn that wheel now. Once you get in that position, take this jack stand and put it underneath. That's like a fail safe, so if this thing collapses, your jack, it'll stop on there. So that's the next part. So now we've got the jack stand here underneath the chassis tube in there. So once it's there, you can let it down. You can take this jack down slightly, so this is taking most of the weight, but you're still going to have weight bearing on both pieces of support. Okay, now we can take off the wheel. Spin these guys. And I always put the wheel nuts, once you take them off, put them in the hub cap over here, then they don't get lost. Now once the last nut is off and put into the wheel cover here, there we go, it just lifts off. There we go. We'll then roll off to one side. We can now look at the brake pads in there, and they're getting pretty far down, so it is indeed time to replace them. So loosen those two nuts off, 1, 2, and that will take this whole caliper loose, and then you can get to the brake pads from there. The socket that I use to get those two nuts off is 10mm, just so you know. Once your two bolts are removed, this centre section should wobble off. There you go, I can feel it there. There you go, and that's it. See how thin that one's worn? That one's hardly worn at all. And that is a new caliper about 6 years ago, so I don't know what to say about that, except we're going to take these off. And you take these off just by undoing these little clips here. That's why we've got this, this thing here. There you go. There's the first one off. Now then. Now we'll take off the second one. Behind the second one is this piston that's supposed to go backwards and forwards. And they actually, look, these look like two different pads. Go figure. I'm going to put two the same on. But yep, they are. On the back of these two brake pads, you'll notice this one, which goes into the piston, has a different configuration on the back to this one, which just slides on the outside of the wheel. So you have to match those up too. Once you get these pads in place, you'll notice that that gap there is not large enough to go on there, so you're going to have to squeeze. You're going to have to squeeze this piston down. I'm using this C-clamp and it's working great, so there's a good choice for you. Once you get everything lined up, you can then put your nuts in. The sleeve will stick out a little bit, but once these nuts catch, it'll pull it all in for you. Then once you've got all your bolts, those two bolts tight, and this feels solid, you can go ahead and hang the wheel, put the wheel on. Then I just put all these nuts on hand tight. Right, just wiggle your wheel till everything goes on hand tight. Because that's, once they're on nice and snug, then you do your wheel pattern tightening. And what I mean by that is, you put your wheel brace on there, tighten it up good, then you put it on there, tighten that one up good, and then you go opposite that one, tighten it up good with your wheel brace, that one, then that one, and then go back over again, just to make sure that everything's nice and snug and tight. So what I'm doing, I'm just doing this. Put them on. There you go. Let the wheel brace do the work. Snug. Snug. And snug. Right. Now once they're nice and snug, next thing to do is to take out the jack, stand underneath, and then we're going to lower this down a little bit. Not all the way down, but part of the way down. Here we go. Now that the jack stands out, we can drop this floor jack a little bit. And I'm going to drop it just so that that wheel touches the floor. There we go. A little bit further. That's good. That's good. Now that we're getting good traction there, I can go ahead. So tighten there, go opposite. Tighten there, opposite. Tighten there, little bit opposite. Yeah, just kind of opposite here. Okay, so once you got these guys on, that's that done. It's just a matter of replacing your wheel trim here. All that remains now is to do the other side, because if you're doing brakes, it's always good policy to replace 2 lots at a time, the 2 front ones at least. Alright, thanks for watching, see you next time. Why, that was fun. Not too bad, went on. It was a hassle to get this thing all lined up, the caliper, but it seems that if you start from the top, put that top bolt in, then press the bottom, it will work. Because it came off right, so don't give up if you get so far and you're getting frustrated. Just keep going and you'll get it. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.